Hey guys, welcome back to another session by yours truly. In this case, we're going to review a topic that we already saw in the classroom. But like I promised, I am going to make a video on it. In case somebody needs to review, you can watch this video as many times as possible, and hopefully it'll clarify any remaining doubts. I also did promise that I was going to show you my face on screen. So here we go. Hopefully, my face does not distract you from actually learning something. And like I've been doing in the classroom, I'm going to start off by giving you guys a dad joke. Yeah. So, how does the salad say grace? How does the salad say grace? Well, let us pray. All right, yeah, enough goofing around. Let's get down to it. Remember, if you have any questions, let me know in the classroom, but hopefully this will clarify any remaining doubts that you may have. Here we go. Let's get started. Remember that we always have to answer three questions from any topic that we see. The first one is always, what do we use it for? And you guys already know that we use future in first conditional. So we use the first conditional to talk about things which might happen in the future, like you guys already predicted before in the classroom. So we have to always keep in mind that we cannot 100% guess what's going to happen in the future. We can have a plan, sure, but a lot of things can happen. For example, if I say I will buy some sneakers tomorrow, but I go to the store and the store is closed, I obviously I'm not going to be able to buy the sneakers, right? So we always have to keep that in mind. Even though it's a plan, it's not 100%. And the other thing is, when we're dealing with first conditional, it has to be something that is possible to happen. I cannot just say I'll win the lottery tomorrow because that is very, very unlikely. So it has to be something that might happen. Okay, that might actually happen. Not we're talking about things that are probable. All right. Now that we have the what do we use it for, we need to know the structure. And like we saw in the classroom, I first show you the structure for all conditionals. This is something that we have to always keep in mind since we're going to be dealing with first conditional, second conditional, and yes, you guessed it, third conditional too. So this is the general structure. We always have two different things, two parts that help us making conditional sentences. The first one is the condition. Okay. This is the if clause. And then we have the result. The result is also known as the main clause. The if clause is obviously the one that has if in it, right? So yeah, you guys know that. And then we have to always remember this. Make a side note, okay? Now don't forget this because if you don't add this in the exam, you're going to be wrong. If we start with the condition, we need to add a comma. Okay, this is very important, grammatically speaking. All right. And like you guys can see, we can start either with the condition or we can start also with the result. The only difference is that if we start with the result, there is no comma. As you see here, there is nothing here, right? So that would be the only difference. So keep that in mind. When we're dealing with conditional sentences, any conditional sentence, zero, first, second, third, we're always dealing with two different parts, condition and result. Okay? All right. So here we go. Now we're going to go specific. What is the structure for first conditional? Again, we have our two parts. We have the if clause or the condition, and we have the main clause or the result. So you guys guessed it right in the classroom, but here we go. Let me show you. We have the if clause in simple present, and then the main clause is in simple future. And you guys can see the comma right there. Okay, never forget the comma. This is one way of putting it, but we also mentioned that we can start with the result and then go to the condition, and it would still be the same. The result is still in simple future, and then the condition is still in simple present. The only difference, like we mentioned before, is that we don't add a comma. Okay. So now we know the exact structure for first conditional. For us not to make a mistake, we need to always look at this structure until we get it down, until we memorize it. Okay, so when you're making your sentences, if you're not sure, don't guess. Look at the structure and make sure that you're following it correctly. The other thing that we always need to keep in mind is, do I know the structure for present simple? And do I know the structure for future simple? If the answer is no, I don't think I remember it, ask me or look for it yourself. Either way is fine, but make sure that you have the structure so you don't make any mistakes. All right, so here we go. Now that we have the structure, let's check one example out. This is an anime related example. So here we go. This is our man right here, Hyakimaru. And we start off with the condition. If Hyakimaru gets his body back, he will live a normal life. So here we can see that we have our condition in present simple and then our result in future simple. All right. And we have the if right there. Right. So we got all of the different parts that we just mentioned in our structure. Now we know that this sentence is perfect. Grammatically, it is 100% correct. Okay? Now, if you might say, I don't really fully understand this sentence because you're talking about a person that I don't know. Well, you know what? Let me give you some more examples. I got you covered. Here we go. This is something more normal, right? Imagine you met somebody that you had a good time with, a boy or girl, right? You got to talk a little bit. At the end, somebody had to leave before you could actually ask for their social information, and then but you do know their name. You know their name, right? So then you're talking with a friend, and you're like, you know what? I met this girl or boy, and I'm really interested in them. So you know what? If I find her Facebook profile, I'll send him or her an invitation. So you're using a first conditional sentence right there, right? You're predicting something that can happen or that will happen as long as the first condition is met. And we can see in this example that we do have present simple and then future simple. Okay. And we also mentioned that we can do it backwards, right? So yeah, here we go. This is the same sentence, but starting with the result. Like we talked about, the only thing that doesn't, well, that changes basically is that we don't add the comma. Some of you might be wondering, why don't we add a comma? Well, the reasoning behind that is because we have the if. The if is joining the two clauses that we have. On top, we have the if at the beginning. So it is not joining anything since it's at the very beginning. That's why we need to add the comma. All right. Now, let's check out another example. This one says, if John saves enough money, he'll buy a Ferrari. All right. Following the same structure, no problem there. And if we switch it, there we go. John will buy a Ferrari if he saves enough money. Now, you guys might remember that in the classroom, we did this switch. And we always have to remember, if we already have a sentence and we want to switch it, we always have to make sure that we mention who we're talking about. We can't just say he will buy a Ferrari if John saves enough money. All right, because this happens sometimes. We always have to mention who we're talking about first. But that's it from here. We covered in the classroom, can we make negative clauses? Because this is sometimes something that comes up. And people have asked me, teacher, can we make negative clauses? Can I have a negative condition? And can I have a negative result? Well, the answer is yes. Yeah, you can. We can have a sentence like this one. If I don't see Tim at school, I'll phone him in the evening. So here we have a negative condition, and the sentence makes perfect sense, and it is also grammatically correct. The second one says, Mom won't be very happy if I get bad grades. We can see here that we're using a negative result, and it makes perfect sense. And then the last one, we have Joe won't get any chocolate if he doesn't eat his lunch. Here we're flexing a little bit. We're using both of them negative. So you guys can see it doesn't matter if you use a negative as long as it's what you want to express. Another question that sometimes comes to mind along with negatives is, how do I make a negative clause, a negative condition, or a negative result? Well, we just have to remember, when we're talking about the condition, we're talking about a simple a present simple sentence. So if we want to make it negative, we just need to make a simple present negative sentence. That means that we add don't or doesn't, right? We just have to remember that structure. And if we're dealing with the results, well, we just have to remember that the result is always in future simple. So we have to remember how to make a negative future simple sentence. And that would be by adding won't. And that's it. You just always have to remember and go back to the previous knowledge from your previous classes. What structures do I need? And obviously, check the structures if you're not 100% on the structures themselves. All right, just always check to make sure that you're not making mistakes. And we arrive at the end. Do you guys have any questions? If not, well, that would be it. But if you do have questions, make sure that you ask me. Don't take anything like without asking me. Don't take anything for yourselves. Share it with me or with somebody in the group, but ask somebody. Or if you want to check it out, here are the sources that I used. You are more than welcome to go to them and find the information for yourselves. I'm pretty sure you guys are more than capable of doing that too. But that's it. I thank you for accompanying me on this journey. I will be here back with second conditional next week. So take care and see you guys. Peace.